Hey everybody, welcome to another Retro Game Night. I am Damien DeCarlo. I have a couple of people here with me for my episode. Player 2, we got Earl Lawrence. Hi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I'm sorry. I had my engagement level up here and then I get
Oh,
to you and it's like, hey
hey,
everybody.
what's up, party people?
That's more like it. We
All
also have
right,
player 3, Michael Losi. Hi.
boom.
What's up, guys? Happy New Year! Excited for a new year, new start. Let's get this game started.
See, that's how you do it, Earl.
That's
Anyway,
it.
we are back again, everybody. Our awesome review today will be Donkey Kong Country. This is very, very exciting. As you can tell, if you're watching the YouTube version of this episode, you can see all of our backgrounds full of Donkey Kong-ism. Just to kind of set the tone and the platform here, because it's a platform game. Donkey Kong Country is a 1994 platform game developed by Rare, published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It is meant to be a reboot of Nintendo's Donkey Kong franchise. Follows Donkey Kong and his nephew Diddy Kong set out to recover their stolen banana hoard from the infamous crocodile King K. Rool and his army. This is a major title. This was, game changer. Absolutely. This is so much to talk about. We're already at a point of an anniversary. How many years, Earl, did you say this was? 30th?
This is the 30th year, 94, and we're in 2024, and this game definitely was out of the box, mind-blowing in 94. Yeah, I'd still play it today.
This was huge. This was huge. And I mean, this was the very first one of a lot of things. So let's get going with this whole thing. We got this wasn't just a single player game like the other Donkey Kongs. This was now a two-player, simultaneously, same screen, co-op. And you're going through 40 side-scrolling levels, platform genre game. So you're jumping, you're avoiding obstacles, just like the typical Mario games. The multiplayer, you're working cooperatively, of course, or you can also race against each other. This was meant to be this game was developed to be in direct competition against Sega's Aladdin in 1993. This was, if anybody knows the two games of the versions of Aladdin, everybody will know that's a gamer that Genesis version was superior. This was huge. So Genesis was already doing well. Super Nintendo was right up and coming now, and this was this was day and age SNES versus Genesis, and so we had a lot to go, competitively here. So let's talk about the game. Let's talk about 2024 now, going into it. Losi, you just played it recently. Thoughts? Like let's get your preliminary thoughts here of the game now that you're playing it again.
Sure. Yeah. No. Of course, I already have to admit I feel like my thoughts are always a little biased, right? I'm a Nintendo diehard fan, right? Everyone knows
we
this
know.
by now.
We know.
And so, yes, this was, as you just mentioned, going back a little bit on the history of this. This was such a needed title for Nintendo at the time. The Genesis, the Super Nintendo were just going at it. The Super Nintendo was starting to feel a little dry, a little bit monotonous, I would say, at least in terms of graphics and things like that. Because Aladdin, like you mentioned, it blew it out of the water, right? And it's crazy to say that was state of the art at the time, but it truly was. And so Nintendo had to do something, and I think that it was pretty strategic of them to take a partnership in Rare, utilize them, and I think this is the first time they really utilized 3D rendering instead of just your animated sprites and stuff. So yeah, you're talking about it was I want to say it was evolutionary refreshment.
Absolutely.
Is what I want is how I kind of want to describe this thing, because it took it the next level at a much needed time.
Yeah.
And and I would say many would argue with that this probably saved Nintendo in '94.
It's a fair statement. And just a reminder, viewers and listeners, that we're talking Rare, the game company that we're talking the same company that made, of course, the Donkey Kong Country series. They made Killer Instinct, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye. So this is a very reputable company as far as like what they've done. Now, at this point, it was still earlier, before these other titles I had just mentioned, but they made some titles for the NES. I can recall Marble Madness was one that they did. They just weren't as big yet. Losi, you mentioned you played it, and Earl, you kind of revisited recently, or did you play or watch a few clips?
Of course, I did the full walk. I mean, I watched a lot of the videos of it. I played it obviously when I was younger. Finished the game. This is a game that I've would say holds near and dear to my heart. And when we talk about Rare, them coming up to develop this game, coming back with the 3D rendering that Mike talked about. Um, this game had all those feels when you start to play it, when you plug it in, the intro screen of it, and you see the big R, you're like, okay, cool. Like this game had more of that, anxiety feel, like you're ready to play it. You had all these great, you see the trailers for it, but playing the game, watching the game, seeing the game is mind blowing enough for a side scrolling game to also add the 3D aspect, because you have the Mario Brothers, and you know what you're getting from Mario Brothers, right? It's a side scroll. It's, I don't want to say the graphics. This took graphics to another level with that 3D rendering, and for them to do it in 18 months or however long it took Rare to develop this game, which I believe it was around that. It was about 18 months to do Donkey Kong Country. Um, really set the game and Donkey Kong franchise back on the map, because it was that, like when you were playing it with your old Nintendo. When I say the old Nintendo, I'm just talking about like the Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo comes out with this game, and you have all these different views, the 3D, and we'll talk about the sound later and all the music that comes into play with this game.
Right.
But yeah,
So yeah, you brought up a good point. So we go from the NES, which, if you can picture it really clearly, what Donkey Kong games look like on that. So we're talking just NES 8-bit
the
sprite.
ladder, yeah,
I mean, we're talking genuinely classic, beautiful games at its time. We go from that to now a 3D rendered, still 2D, but I call it a 2D.5 sort of thing. It's slightly 3D. Huge game changer. We're talking like now they look more fleshed out. It looks more real. It looks more. It just had a vibe. It had such a vibe. All the world that was created in Donkey Kong Country was just its own thing. It was huge, and
I like that word. I like that word, Damien, vibe. And I'm sorry, I feel like I
right.
kind of dodged your question earlier. I got a little long-winded there. But yeah, just to elaborate on that a little bit on the gameplay when I did play it earlier today. It not only the graphics, of course, what I just harped on was what made this game great, but it truly was the gameplay. And I feel like, and even from some other reviewers I saw in this the video game as well, is this was a platformer that if you didn't like other platformers before, you actually may be able to get into this one. It had a different feel to it, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I just
yeah. It
wanted to
had its
mention
own thing.
that was,
This game, did you guys play often with two players?
I can say I did. I was playing with my brother a lot, but it was more just pass the controller because we wanted to finish the game. We did play the co-op version too, where you play Diddy, or
Right.
you come back. But this covers both. Like, even if you were a single player and you're playing this game, and me being a spectator, or someone being a spectator, you still have that like feel, like to go through all the levels. And the levels itself were a masterpiece,
Yeah.
from where they brought it to, the aqua level. There again, we can go as far as we want with all the levels and all like the secrets that they have in this game. But I played it both. Well, again, my brother's 15 months older than me, so we did do co-op because obviously I wanted to also play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game itself, when you look at it now, it's weird. I never thought of this before, ever, until just now when I saw it again and played it again. It almost had like very early Pixar vibes to it, and it
Mhm.
was just like that sort of 3D'd out character that we got early on before like Toy Story and all that happened. But it was like almost like inching towards that kind of a feel, and now things have changed. We had first Donkey Kong, who looked resembled more of a King Kong. If you go back to the NES and the arcade version, suddenly now you got a guy that is smaller. It seems smaller to me comparatively to what Donkey Kong looked like before in the old games. He was a lot bigger and more King Kong, obviously vibe. And then you got his little DK like tie, and now you got Diddy Kong, who was like his nephew, and it was just like the feel was just totally different, and the music. I mean, the music, hands down, everybody will talk about how to this very day in 2024 still sends the vibes.
Right, and I think going back to what they're wearing, like you have Donkey Kong who's wearing a tie, right? You could be like the professional dad, like you're looking at, and then you have Diddy Kong with a hat, right?
The
So like
hat, yeah,
it appeases to the masses. You kind of relate to it. You're like, oh my goodness, like this little Diddy Kong has a hat. He's so cool and doing all this other, following his uncle around, and then he's trying to protect his horde. He's trying to protect the bananas, where it
yeah.
comes in the battle these bosses. You go through those, fight scenes when you have to like, even though those fight scenes were kind of easy or kind of like a throwaway stage, but you could relate a lot to the video game because then you see like exactly from like my print here, you're like, okay,
Yeah,
Diddy
your background's got it right there, animated.
yeah,
Yeah,
the Diddy Kong is this cool character, and then you
yeah,
have Donkey Kong, who's this kind of massive, kind of like Gronk-esque, versus what it was, and it carried on to other games, which is the race, the Mario Kart, and all this other stuff that you would see, and Diddy Kong has his own now his own games that came after it, which I think was really setting the stage of what they can grow from a franchise to make it more appeasing to the masses.
so going into the facts, I have a few notes here that definitely want to bring up to those that know the history, or may want to know the history of Donkey Kong. It's worth mentioning. Following the announcement at the Consumer Electronics Show back in '94, Donkey Kong Country was the highly anticipated, backed by a major marketing campaign that cost $16 million in America alone.
What year was
That's
that?
just America, 1994.
16
I
million. That's a
mean,
lot of money.
you do the math on that. 1994. I mean, that is a lot of goddamn money for just the marketing, and that means what that tells me is Rare got the preliminary plays through testing, through people that were part of the company, game testers, and they just knew that this was going to be a big hit. They just knew it enough to promote it with that much money. I mean, that's insane. That's insane to me. And of course, critics hailed it, its visuals as groundbreaking, praised the gameplay and the music, and the quality design were favorably compared to Mario, the Super Mario game. So once you get up to that point, and you're just as successful as Mario, no wonder Donkey Kong has been so much part of Mario's, games or story arcs. Um, yeah, it's huge. What memories do you have, Losi, of this game? Tell me, like, did you buy this game? Do you remember the marketing? Do you remember like playing it with friends?
Yeah. No, I definitely I think all of the above. I think I check all the boxes. I definitely remember the marketing for sure because I was like I said already a Nintendo fanboy, and so this was what you saw in the Nintendo magazine, your Power magazine. This was hyped up. You knew the release date. You knew it was coming out. So I didn't purchase it initially though. Again, I think I mentioned this before, and with some other of our game reviews, but it was through my daycare. They had this game there, and so
Yeah.
of course started playing it there. And as we kind of mentioned earlier, and I think it's very unique, although this game is a co-op, um, the difference in play between the characters of both Donkey Kong and Diddy gave you it was you kind of needed both characters. For example, like I said, I played the game earlier. In one of the cart stages, you actually need Donkey Kong to jump on top of the clumps
Yeah.
instead of Diddy. And if not, you're gonna bounce off and die every single time. And so you kind of needed both players. And so yeah, you would like Earl mentioned, you would have to share the remote. That's the only way this game like got its
Right.
full playing potential, I guess you could say.
Right.
And yeah, so with that, I mean, yeah, it just I remember the daycare, but then I eventually did buy it, and my brother and I, yeah, we played it all the time, and this is a game I beat many times, and um, it's been 25 probably long years since I had played it, and it was a lovely time. I would just say that to just go through the whole thing again. If you haven't done it, just do it yourself a favor, play it because this game, the replay value is all there.
Yeah, it's very
And
high for sure. I
it's
I
great.
remember and
Yeah.
recall that this was the regular rental when I was a kid at renting games, like back when you could do that, back when dinosaurs were roaming the earth, and no, but like a long time ago, you could do that, and you just you could potentially keep renting it again and again,
Yeah.
and I did. It was just one that I
Yeah.
just was so addicted to, but eventually begged my mom for it, and we ended up getting it. But it was just one that just kept because there was so many like games that were coming out at this point in time, so there was just so many to choose from. And the one thing that I'll point out that again that this was the revolutionary title of Donkey Kong. We now have safe state, not safe state. I'm sorry, but more we have a. I say that freely now in a day and age when we have save states, but we have savable option in the
Yeah.
cartridge, so you could save your point in progress, and you just had all this like replay value where you could just jump right back in. You didn't have to worry about like starting the game over again, which is what we had to do with NES. So much good stuff about it.
Can we listen to the soundtrack at some point in this podcast?
I'm gonna throw it up on there. Exactly.
Feel free to play it.
No,
Yeah,
the save.
Oh
throw it
my God,
No,
on.
the
there's
save was good.
several
And
of those. They're just
for
so
me,
The
good.
soundtrack itself, man, it's just not much I can like. What can I say other than it's perfect? It's just it had like again the vibe. It had the vibes. But upon the first level, when you break out of that,
The very
little
beginning.
hut and you land and you start hearing the drum beat and you start feeling like that tropical feel or that like conga thing. It's just you didn't think that would be Donkey Kong. Like you just knew he was before that. Just the big gorilla, holding the princess from Mario, and now it's like this guy has his own freaking story. He has his own thing, and this is just it was just immediate that you felt it with the music. And I got to say, I think my favorite track would be the water level, hands down. I think that sets such a mood for me every time I hear it.
Can I play that first level? Do you guys mind?
I don't mind. Play it.
Do it.
Okay, cool. I'm like, you can edit me or whatever you need to do if you need to make it more clear,
Uh,
but I think I got it here.
while you're doing that, I'll give a shout out to the composers: David Weiss, Eveline Novacek, and Robin Beanland. Amazing, obviously, composers for this soundtrack or for this video game, and it has this old school like jazz feel whenever you hear it, and you
Yeah.
hear the beat and you hear like the Donkey Kong. Even they made the sound from a like
Here
a
we go. Here we
gorilla,
go,
and they were
guys.
able to play it through. Go ahead, Lucy.
Yeah, let's hear the music.
What I love
Lucy.
about this, it takes about I calculated it a little over a minute of a buildup, and about every 5 to 6 seconds, something new pops in. So here comes.
There it is.
Bump, ba-da-bump, ba-da-bump, bump, bump, bump. That was it. That was it. And then he jumps on the rhino, and it's like demolishes everything.
Oh, let's talk about the rhino. Okay, so you could
Yes.
jump on animals in this. You're already an
let's talk about
animal,
the
but you're
characters, yeah.
jumping on other animals
Yes.
and riding them like they're horses. Yeah. I mean, that was cool. And then you got like the endless amount of secret rooms. I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, I just would stumble upon this by accident, or you would have to again get it in a Nintendo Power or something because you would never know this stuff. I mean, this isn't there. We didn't have internet, so
No.
we didn't know this stuff.
And what's good about the game on those secret rooms, they kind of give it to you, right? They have like the bananas form, like if you're in that water aqua level, it'll have bananas point into like an arrow to go down. And you're like, well, okay, you go down there. Again, there's a lot of Easter eggs, right? You try to collect the Kong, in certain stages so you can get an extra life, right? So there's all of those things within the game, minus of just trying to get through the stages. You also were at a point where like, let me find a secret level, let me get, more bananas. Um, I thought, you know, with the game itself, it was, I guess we're talking gameplay. It was
Yeah,
a hard game.
it was
Yeah,
hard. It wasn't
hard
easy.
game.
Yeah,
It wasn't easy. Thank goodness for the saves, the save zones where you could save and,
right,
go back into it. But a lot of the stages, unless you really knew how the mechanics of, what Donkey Kong was gonna do, and he's such a fragile character, if anything touches him, he's gone. And then now you have Diddy jumping in
yeah,
to also play, which I thought was really cool because it gave that extra layer of like, okay, well, I'm not done and out of this stage yet or this level. Let me try to finish it. But you have those type of gameplay where, let's say Mario, he is gone and you start over, you go back to whatever level. This one, it gave you that second revival, right? So we know revival from Call of Duty, right? Where someone's playing a game and you have this other extra person or extra burst to play. You had that with Diddy. Diddy brought that level of like, okay, cool, like you're still in the game or in that level, which was for me would help because it, again, they talk about it or you play it and anything that touches Donkey Kong and
yeah.
he's yeah.
This wasn't like
Yeah,
a
no, this
game where you
yeah.
you turn in from big Mario to small Mario. It's like you
Right.
if you got
You're
hit, you
done.
got hit.
You're out.
This
Yeah.
game required two things when I noticed in just playing. It was timing and patience.
Right.
Of course, because there's no countdown, right, in the levels. And so it's really about timing everything and just seeing how that next part is going to play out and for your next move.
Right.
Like this game requires a ton of that. And so yeah, it's just yeah, it's amazing.
Um I mean, I don't know. Just talking about stages, I think we talked about Losi's favorite stage, which is the water stage. Damien, what's your favorite
Yeah, that
stage?
would be mine as well, the water stage, and I would say the music too. Yeah.
Mine. Okay, so agree to disagree. I think mine would be the mines when
When you're
they're
in the
going
cart.
through the cart and they're
Yeah.
jumping through.
Those are cool.
You're
Those are
yeah,
those are
you're
cool, those
going
carts.
through.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was insanely frustrating. And again, I think it was you, Losi, saying that that part would
timing.
be much better with Diddy, right? I do recall that too.
Well, there are certain parts where you had to disembark from the mine cart
Mhm.
Right.
and you would have to go onto this platform where there would be a clump, for example,
And Diddy
and
Yeah.
would
with
just
a
be
dip, you
lighter.
just bounce off. But
Yeah.
you need a donkey to actually smash him.
All right. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like the armadillos, for example, donkey, he would
yeah,
immediately smash them. Diddy, he bounces off them. The armadillos flatten out, and then you have to re-jump on them.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
There's a
Bring
certain way to like go through this game where you could kind of I don't want to call it juggling, but you just kind of like bouncing
yeah.
I
bouncing
did that
points.
plenty of times. I was
Bring
selecting back and forth between characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, after failing at a certain point.
And it was so cool to go through that stage and you're like, oh, you made it, like those were ones that cart and then again side scrolling game, the actual stage where you're in a barrel, right? So you're in the barrel and you have to kind of like your barrel has to match up, so you line up to go to the other barrel and you shoot
Yeah,
yourself
that's right.
through this way. And you're because there's no layers of platform, you're just kind of like flying through this level. And there was that secret stage. If you pointed your barrel, I think 45 degrees down, right, then you would shoot it and you would bypass the whole stage. I don't know if you guys did that, where you cut across the whole stage and it's all bananas.
Oh yeah, I recall it before doing this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was that was cool when you find one of those things.
Like
You
those
just
little secrets like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little trivia from Donkey Kong. Do you guys know why they use barrels in the game? There is a
I'm
reason.
gonna say monkeys in a barrel.
yeah.
That's a good. Hey, I like that. I like that. But no,
Monkeys
you're
and
wrong.
bears.
The reason why is that they paid homage to the original Donkey Kong when he was throwing barrels down to Mario. So they decided to incorporate it. But I like Losie's theory. I think that that's where they probably got the idea originally.
Yeah.
My guess is way more random.
It's probably
That's
that though. They probably looked at the toys and were like, "Yeah, monkeys and barrels sounds great."
We know bananas don't grow in barrels.
I know. Well, I thought they did.
After this
Do you
game, yeah.
guys remember? Do you guys remember the names of the animals? That's my trivia.
Shoot,
Ooh,
no.
stump me.
Educate us. I don't
Oh,
remember. What was in
well,
Rhino's name? What
the
was the
rhino
Rhino?
was Rambi.
Oh,
Rambi.
that's
Okay,
right.
okay.
That's right.
You,
Yeah.
in this game, you had 5 animals. You got a lot more in the second one, of course, which of course I feel like we have to do because it was just even that much better. But you had the ostrich, name was
Mhm.
Espresso.
That's
You had the
awesome.
swordfish in Garde.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Party.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember this now.
You had the frog, Winky,
Winky. Okay.
and you have the parrot that lights up in Squawks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Do
my
we
trivia
can
there.
we think of another game, guys, during this time that was in direct competition in Sega that had animals too, like this?
StarCraft.
No, opposite company, Sega.
Oh,
StarCraft.
Earthworm Jim.
StarCraft is actually not a console. That's PC.
well.
Come
So
on,
yeah.
Earl. What are we
Dum
doing
dum
here?
dum. Sit in the corner.
I was gonna say, I thought this game was in competition. It was both Aladdin and Earthworm Jim.
What I was gonna say, mascot wise, in 94, 93, we had a Sonic game in Sega Genesis, which had a lot of animals. So I just thought of that now.
Yeah.
There was kind of that like not really competitive because this was probably way bigger, but on the other side of things, they probably had this sort of similar vibe. Sonic had a bunch of animals you were freeing, that kind of thing.
You know what? Now that you say it, I agree because you're collecting the bananas, you're going through the stages.
Yeah.
Sonic collected coins.
Sonic
Like
with the rings
uh,
and like,
the rings,
getting
yeah, the
the
rings, and you're just kind of like going through
green
this.
animals and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
wow.
interesting. Just a little interesting tidbit, I thought, just right now as I'm remembering 1994. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on with the game itself, we definitely saw a new face to Donkey Kong. I will ask you guys a very interesting question. I just have to ask it already. When it comes to Donkey Kong Country 1, there's Donkey Kong Country 2, and there's Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yep.
Are we in agreement that, and I'm just going to say this out there, that I think this is the best one out of the three? No?
Mm,
Okay, Lucy says
yeah.
no. For me, it's weird because I played the other ones and they get totally eclipsed by this one for me every time. And it's weird because I remember renting, I used to rent so many games, but like DKC 2 and then 3, and I'd be like, oh, this is getting hard. Or I'm like, I miss Donkey Kong. So I'd pop in the OG
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. I think I just favored this one the most. I mean, Losi, which one did you like the most out of the three?
So I have an easy ranking. I love this game. This game is a 9 out of 10 for me. It's an easy, I'm going to be very, just throw that out there from the get go already right now.
Which we're
Yeah.
all
But
doing. Yeah. That's what we're talking about this
number two
game.
just goes that much. Like it took everything great about this game and said, okay, we know the secret recipe. Let's see how much further we can take
Yep.
this. You had the spider. You remember what you could do with the spider with the webs and everything, and
Yeah, yeah.
you could your animals you could ride were more interactive. One, two, the game was more themed out in the second one, so you had it was a pirates theme throughout, and it
Hmm.
was super cool, and it played super well through the entire thing. And then the third thing is you had Dixie Kong, which she had the flying capability, which was
With
super
the
unique.
ponytail, was it, or tail?
Ponytail
Ponytail,
with the
that's right.
ponytail.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you kind of needed that in the same regards as you need Donkey versus Diddy Kong in this game. That also played in that game and uniquely. The third one to me just kind of became like it was just a sequel that was just rushed for money. I felt like it was very just it's kind of sloppily done together, whereas 1 and 2 were just masterpieces.
Yeah, I can see that. 3, I don't even recall if I even beat it. I do remember beating 1 and 2. I beat number 1 multiple times. I think I only beat number 2 one time. But either way, all 3 had the same similar vibe. They had the same. They didn't change the look of it really. It was pretty much the same again, which I loved about that. Like if you're gonna make a trilogy of like really awesome games, make them just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like just keep it going. Like the first one was just it looked great, sounded great. The pirate thing going on, like that was interesting. Like you went that direction. It was just like a lot you could do with this, and I think that I'll just say this: I really, really wish they would have released an animated film of Donkey Kong in the form of Donkey Kong Country. Like that would have been really cool to have a release of just an adventure like that, Pixar animated style. Obviously, I'm naming a company; it doesn't have to be Pixar, but Illumination, whatever you want to make it. It was awesome to see Donkey Kong in the Super Mario movie, absolutely. But I think he needs his own little franchise and film. Like that would be great.
Even in the movie itself, the one that was just released, you know, you see Donkey Kong, you see Diddy Kong when he had his stage like that, brought a lot of, you know, emotions in me. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like they incorporated this,
Yeah.
but it's its own separate franchise. Had they had a series on TV or, you know, something like a reboot still, I would still watch it because there's so much more they could do with this. And
Yeah.
Damien, yeah, pitch the idea. I know you know people. You're
yeah,
Throw it out
Yeah.
there. Just leave a
Yeah.
little note on someone's desk.
add the things first.
I mean,
But you're because if you think we mentioned this earlier, all the characters, right? They're animals, and their characters are super fun and lovable. So it's super kid friendly, plus the nostalgia, right? So you're
Right.
catering to several different markets right away that I
Agreed.
think can enjoy this.
Yeah.
I guess might as well throw in there like what Universal's doing in Japan. You know,
Yeah, what's the news on that? Like you guys are talking to me about this. What's going on?
So, Universal Studios, obviously, we know locally here in Hollywood, they put the Super Mario Brothers land. Same with, you know, every Universal Studios that's going on. In Japan, they are doing an expansion that is placed in the Mario World theme area, with guests entering a Donkey Kong Country DK Warp Tube that's going to be connected to Mario Land. Obviously, we're talking like how great Mario was and how, you know, these franchises are kind of tied together with Nintendo. But the Donkey Kong area is approximately 1.7 times larger than the entirety of Super Mario Brothers. And what they're going to do is they're going to do a Donkey Kong Country area that will be also with a play experience. So you know how we have the power bands that they have right now for
Right.
Mario? They're doing power bands with Donkey Kong, and they're going to release two new power bands, which I want. They're going to do a Donkey Kong and a Diddy Kong power band, and they're going to use those power bands to go with these mini interactive games, and you would collect the letters, the KONG, with each game to go into like, you know, to play into like the next level of things. So awesome.
That is so cool.
That is amazing. I can't wait till they have it here. They're also going to do a ride. I don't know if you guys have researched or seen this. They're going to do a ride that mimics the mine ride.
No way.
Have a like you're in your roller coaster, and it's going to show you jump from another like off track.
That's so cool.
You will be off track visually, but the track is connected from the bottom. So when you're on this like little rail that you're going through, like let's say your cart, right? You're with your, you know, group. The actual connection of the cart is like these guys are genius. They're making it so it's connected on the bottom, and it has that feel like you're going off cart to go to this track that's an open track.
That is so funny.
Mind blowing. These guys have thought
man.
of these guys, girls.
Is there an ETA in this?
Amazing.
Is there
What?
is there a timeline on this, or when do they expect this to come out?
Spring 2024 in Japan.
Japan, yeah. So I would say maybe another year after that.
For here? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
if it's here. Game
My
over.
theory, just a theory.
Okay, if not, we're gonna give it a year. We're gonna go to Japan.
We'll just
guys.
go to Japan.
We're gonna make a commitment. If it doesn't happen,
Forget you, America.
2025.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. You think about the stuff that's been happening. We've gotten at Universal Studios, Super Nintendo Land. We got the movies. I mean, guys, we live in a day and age, and I speak to every single gaming geek that's my age and older, and all of us combined, that we get to not only live through this, where we get to go through it again, but in almost in a real life form again. But
Right.
we get to bring our kids to it. If you have children, you know,
do.
like you get to bring them into the joy of what you knew. without necessarily even playing a game. Like you get to see like a movie, you get to go to a theme park of Nintendo stuff, and that is just so awesome. And what a time to be alive.
Yeah, and this is the reason why. So pitch this to whoever you know, Damien, to get
Guys,
like a
come on. Who
series
do you
on
think I know?
TV. 'Cause, again, we're saying Pixar. Pixar's Disney. Universal's a little bit different. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're competitors, but
Right,
you
right.
know, Universal can get something out for in this rendering too. Like I would still watch it. Like my background right here, if it was a TV show or you know some series, same with Losie's background, same with your background,
Yeah.
this as retro as it is or as retro as we're talking about it, this was the new development of retro. This would open that new platform to be like, hey, we're still retro, we're still, but now we're in modern day and we could appreciate the retroness that's going on with this game.
Yeah, totally. And this game has seen so much success. I mean, I'm looking at some of the numbers of the ratings. I mean, we got like Electronic Gaming Monthly giving it a 10. Game
Oof.
Fan 100 out of 100. Next Generation Magazine got gave it 4 stars out of 5. Entertainment Weekly A plus. Like, I mean, this thing. GamePro gave an award to this best graphic achievement. I mean, that's just there's just so much that changed after this. The expectation level now has just been so big, and Losie's a Nintendo guy, and there's a reason for that. I mean, there's a reason why we have Nintendo guys, and this just made so much success and so much likability.
Right.
And I mean, I love Sega. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But I mean, when you get Nintendo, it's just the perfect ingredients. I mean, whoever just one of you guys said recipe, they had the recipe down.
Yeah.
They just had it down, and you just can't, you can't argue with it. You can't.
When I think about it, this is probably the number 3 franchise for me when it comes to like solidifying itself in the Nintendo family for me. One, obviously Mario. Um, Two for me was I was an early Kirby guy. I love the original Kirby's Adventure, but 3, but it has to be Donkey Kong. It
Yeah,
has to be.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would put this in the top three. Sans Kirby, maybe Metroid, but I think when we come talk about it, like there are these games that stand out there, like one, two, three. I think will always have, Mario, Donkey Kong. Like there will
Yeah.
always be these games on the Nintendo platform that you'll always grow to know and love. And not
Yeah, no,
not
it's just
knocking
incredible.
Zelda because Zelda's still up there too, but there's certain,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah,
There's
you're
there's an article that I had read that Naughty Dog, the company Naughty Dog, the game developers, they made Crash Bandicoot. And when they
mm,
made that, they admitted right off the bat, like
yep.
right off the bat, that it was inspired of Donkey Kong Country. Like it was just they just decided to say it. And that I give props to that, like to just admit it. But I mean, Crash Bandicoot is cool too, but I mean, you got to see where the roots are. This is a root right here. Donkey Kong Country changed a lot of things. Uh, this definitely deserves our review before we come to a close with this episode. So let's definitely do it. I'm ready to do it, and there is a big thing about this, guys.
Our
This
rating
is
scale again?
this is a huge thing. We have a very scientific, a very methodical, very complicated way of rating our system here. First, we have Showcase. You love it. You want to display it, seal it, and grade it. You would trip over your own mother to shout on rooftops on how much you love this thing. Second, one and done, like the old days of renting at Blockbuster. You'd had some fun with it. It's time to turn it in. You're okay with it. Just one and done. And number three is toilet paper
Hmm.
equals poo poo. So, with that being said, we got to do some rating here. With Donkey Kong Country, SNES, 1994, made by Rare. Earl, take us there. Where do we rate this and why?
I guess I'll start it off and take you there. And I will say, out of all the Donkey Kongs, because this is the only Donkey Kong that'll get this rating to me. All the other
Ooh,
Donkey
ooh.
Kongs, not. not up to par, not up to, my nostalgia feels and our retro game platform and what we talk about. But this game, if I turn it on, if I play it, and I'll always play it and I'll play it again, this gets a showcase all day. Donkey Kong Country has a special place in my heart. All the other Donkey Kongs to me are they if we were talking about another Donkey Kong game, it wouldn't be this. It'd be the one and dones.
Right.
This to me is our or my showcase. I love this game. I would play this game. I would play this game with my kids. Would love to play a game with my daughters for sure. And I hope that they do more with this specific. I want to say this specific the way that this one was made, like we're talking about in our backgrounds and everything, like if they made it a series like we talked about, I would love that they do that and invest in it. But for me, this would be a showcase. Sorry to take the mic for way too long. Just got a little feely there.
Mr. Losi, we pretty much are sure what you're going to say, but go ahead. Just entertain me. Go ahead. What's your rating?
Yeah. Keep those tissues with you.
Yep.
I do not want to understate this game enough. This game is amazing. Donkey Kong rules. Donkey Kong makes me drool for more. Like I freaking love this game. And in all seriousness, top 3 gameplay SNES, top 3 in music SNES, and probably in graphics it's up there as well. This game is an obvious showcase, must own. Like I said, evolutionary refreshment. This game is what Nintendo needed at the time, and as a Nintendo fanboy, it has my full stamp of approval.
Boom.
Love it. Well, you already know what I'm going to say. No, but yeah, I just, with me, guys, I tend to pour it over a lot. That, and it's just, you just get the molasses out. I'm about to just pour it nice and slow here. Donkey Kong Country, definitely a showcase, and the reason why, and I'm gonna say this game is probably one of the greatest games of all time, and the reason why I say that, because of how Losi, you and Earl have put it, it's changed our lives. Any game that I get to say that about is a game changer. It is the greatest thing that's ever happened. It literally has changed our thinking, our frame of thought when it comes to characters, expectations in film. It comes to like a Mario movie or featuring Donkey Kong, everything. And now this kind of game, we have a video game that has changed with Rare, the company that has made so many great hits, and I can literally pop this game in and do it right after I played GoldenEye and know that they're both iconic, and it doesn't matter the age of the game. Like Donkey Kong ain't broke just because it's 5-6 years older than GoldenEye. So Rare is just one of those amazing companies that has been revolutionary with their ideas and their just the graphics and what have you. So to wrap it, showcase this game, get a mint copy of this game, guys. Like seriously, like I say that as a collector. Like I don't own a mint version of the game, though I do own it. This game will be literally talked about forever. Like this is a major game. And I really look forward to what they're gonna do next, because we've had a lot of other Donkey Kong games that were great. It's just that you cannot say those games exist without, again, identifying the roots. You gotta identify Donkey Kong Country #1, and that's where I leave it. So we definitely have a lot we talk about on the show, and I'm very happy we got a chance to cover this game. So showcase all around.
Yeah,
That's
Mario vs. Donkey Kong's coming out next month, February 16th.
February
That's what I'm
16th,
excited.
Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Basically that's where it started. If you really talk about roots, I mean Mario has been at it with Donkey Kong, so this is they're gonna fight yet again.
Damien
It was
and
the one game I told I get myself for this year. And I'm like, if this is my one game, I'm gonna get it for
That's
myself.
You
It's
got to
this
do
one.
it. Yeah,
Go.
you got to do it.
Yep.
And
Sorry.
props to you. You've killed this game in one day. Like we were all talking about
Yeah,
it.
Losi, geez. Losi,
we were so hyped when we, obviously we all hang out together, but when we brought this game up, it was a no-brainer. Like, this is something that we got to do. And Losi was immediately like giving
Yeah.
us play-by-play. I'm on level 3. I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's
Yeah, Lucy was giving his progress all day on this thing, and yeah, I gotta ask you, did you use cheats or any save states at all? Not even
No,
save states?
I did use a save state at one point, just at the level 6, world 6.
yeah, to use the
So
bathroom.
it did take me 2.5 days though, because I started on Wednesday night. On Wednesday night, I got through world all the way through world 2.
Nice.
And then Thursday though, I like just ran into a bunch of stuff and night caught up on me quick, and I only ended up playing for like 10, 15 minutes. But then I played all day today, and yeah, each world took me at least an hour. World 5 and 6 a little bit longer, and then
Guys, this is coming
Yeah.
from a 35, I think you're 35-year-old man with a child and married and with a full-time job. Donkey Kong Country will do this to you. You will literally
will.
make the time.
And he just
I was
traveled back from Mexico on a
Just got back from vacation and decided, oh, I don't care, I'm gonna work and do this at the same time. Definitely, guys, let us know what you think of Donkey Kong Country on your end as fans. Thank you for liking our stuff. Thank you for following us. Thank you for some of the recent messages. Before we go, Mr. Michael Losley, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Michael_Losi, or hopefully at the next gaming conference.
boom.
I need to talk
Beautiful.
about that.
Yeah, I like how you left it there. Like, boom, next gaming conference. Earl, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. Hey, Earl Lawrence.
Yeah.
Just, hey, Laurel Lawrence.
Fireworks at the end.
Okay. Hey, you don't need a big speech. I mean, I get it.
not make it up.
You're a simple man. Just follow and find out. Damien_DeCarlo on Instagram. Retro Game Night Podcast.com. Collectively, you can find us in our shenanigans. Guys, until next time, literally, please stop, keep calm, and game on. Good night, everybody.
Good night.